Hello everyone and welcome to yet another recap. Today I'm covering a French movie called How I Became a Superhero. The movie begins in a world where superheroes are an actual thing. A magician named Eclipso suddenly gets knocked out and is taken to a secret location. He wakes up tied next to a degenerating body that seems to be getting drained of its blood. Eclipso panics and cries for help, but there's no one around to free him. We are then introduced to our lead, Moreau, who is a lieutenant and superhero liaison officer. He's kind of a loner with only his cat, Nibbles, for company. He doesn't take his job very seriously as he's late to go visit a crime scene. It appears to be a case of arson, but Moreau ignores the suggestions of fellow Lieutenant Schultzman and carries on with his day. It turns out that this is not the first time he's been slacking on the job, so he gets scolded by Commissioner Sherman, who then pairs him up with Schultzman, hoping to improve his performance. Their first task is to confront a hostage situation in a school where the students are being attacked by a boy who can shoot fire. He's actually venting out at his bullies and eventually gets cornered by the cops. Moreau handles the situation calmly and gets him arrested without causing any further drama. The boy's powers are a match for the arson crime scene, but he claims not to have anything to do with it. Instead of trying to work with each other to solve this case, Schultzman and Moreau act hostile and don't get along at first. Then we learn that there's a special drug being sold in the market. It can give even normal humans the same fire powers that the boy was displaying earlier. Later in the day, Moreau meets his friend Henry. He was part of the superhero trio called the Royal Pack. They used to help the cops catch criminals, but they broke up after their leader, Gigaman, was killed in an accident. Henry is also suffering from Parkinson's and is unable to fully control his super speed. Moreau gets some information out of him regarding an ex-convict named Brazzero. He also had the same powers as the latest culprits. Now we learn that the real person behind these attacks is a criminal named Nadja. He is the one selling the drug to teenagers through his network. Arson cases are on the rise and the cops need to act fast, so Sherman calls for a meeting. Moreau brings up Brazzero and this makes Schultzman upset because he didn't share the intel with her despite them being partners. She confronts him about it, but he ignores her when he gets a call from Henry, telling him to talk to the third member of the Royal Pack, Callista. She has the power to foresee certain events, and she does her best to prevent the bad ones from happening, especially to her basketball students. Moreau visits her to ask about Brazzero, but she ignores him and walks away. Then Schultzman drops by to inform him that they found Brazzero's body. They visit the autopsy center and learn that Brazzero's blood was drained from his body and was being used to make the power drug. Meanwhile, one of Nadja's men befriends a girl named Lily. She is Gigaman's daughter and has the same powers as he did. This is an obvious ploy to kidnap her and harvest her blood as well. Moreau investigates one of the arson cases and identifies a possible suspect. He tells Schultzman about it and they go to interrogate him in the hospital. He plays tough at first, but then Schultzman tricks him into revealing the identity of Nadja's primary dealer, Ismail. Nadja learns that some of his stock is missing and suspects Ismail to be behind this. He threatens his people to look for Ismail or else he'll shoot one of them. Then we learn that he is addicted to the power drug and continues to consume it whenever he feels like. Moreau and Schultzman manage to track down Ismail and chase after him. They corner him in a shop and he tries to burn Schultzman after consuming the drug, but Moreau uses a fire extinguisher to knock him out and take him into custody. Meanwhile, Callista walks in on her students discussing the power drug, but they don't tell her anything about it. At the police station, Schultzman and Moreau interrogate Ismail, but he plays dumb and they don't get any information from him. Moreau heads out to grab a bite and talks to Henry over the phone. He reveals that Eclipso has also gone missing and that he has the ability to blind people. Right at that moment, the North Precinct gets attacked by Nadja's men and this time, they're using both Brazzero's and Eclipso's powers. Moreau rushes inside and tries to stop the invaders from breaking out Ismail, but one of them blinds Schultzman and she falls down. Moreau is unable to get to her in time and instinctively stops her from hitting the floor by controlling her body. It turns out that Moreau was a superhero all along but never revealed it. Ismail notices this before escaping. This incident helps Moreau and Schultzman bond on a positive note, but she's curious to know what happened. Moreau plays it off and they get back on the case. Nadja tortures Ismail for betraying him, so he tries to gain some favor by telling him about Moreau and his superpowers. It does get Nadja interested, but he still kills Ismail for what he's done. Later, Callista confronts one of her students about the drug, and he reveals that his friends were the ones who wanted to try it out. She foresees what happens to them and learns that they overdose from the prototype drug made with Lily's blood. She tries to stop them, but is too late, and the dosage ends up killing the boys for good. Back at the precinct, Lily's mother meets Moreau to tell him her daughter is missing, and he goes to her place to investigate the scene. He finds Callista there as well, and she says that she changed her mind after seeing her own students die. Moreau thinks she's just being selfish and tells her to leave. However, when he carries on with his search, he gets caught and sedated by Nadja's men. On her way out, Callista notices Schultzman and foresees her getting shot, so she stops her from meeting Moreau. They follow the goons to their van, where Moreau is conscious enough to hold down the vehicle with his powers, and it allows the women to attack the goons in an effort to free him. They try their best to save him, but then he gets shot and thrown out of the van so that the goons can make their escape. Luckily, Moreau is able to get the bullets out of his body using his powers, and the women bring him to Henry's place to stitch him up. Schultzman wants an explanation regarding Moreau's big secret, and Callista narrates it to her. Basically, Moreau discovered his powers for the first time in front of the royal pack, and they pushed Sherman into making him liaison officer without revealing his secret. However, during one of their busts, Moreau messed up with his powers and caused an accident that led to the death of Gigaman. This was why he never spoke about his powers or even used them. Henry, Callista, and Schultzman get to work so that they can locate Nadja and come across a lead. She's a superhero mental health psychologist named Elizabeth Cagieri. Henry visits her under the pretense of an anxiety attack and plants a bug in her office so that they can monitor her conversations. Then Schultzman goes to one of Elizabeth's ex-employers who had severed ties with her. Upon talking to him, she learns that Elizabeth was interested in reproducing superpowers and caused a sociopathic child to go insane after taking his hypnotic abilities away from him. This child happens to be Nadja, and it explains why he's addicted to the power drugs. Callista is able to get pictures of Elizabeth meeting Nadja, and then the bug plays a recording of Elizabeth talking to him about Lily as well. All the evidence they gather leads them to conclude that Elizabeth is working with Nadja by supplying him with superheroes, and he's using her science to create the power drug. Elizabeth visits Lisa, who is not in great shape, so she tries to convince Nadja to stop with his madness. However, he threatens her after consuming the drug again, and she has no other choice but to rat on him to the cops. The team overhears her emergency call and fears that this will cause a lot of chaos, so they decide to confront Nadja before the authorities can arrive. Nadja and his team learn that the cops are coming for them, so they power up and start evacuating the lab. Nadja takes Lily with him because he wants her powers all to himself. The team manages to reach first thanks to Henry's super speed, and they kick off a hectic fight scene. The encounter is a bit messy, but our heroes manage to defeat Nadja's men after an extended struggle. We see that Moreau has recovered from his injuries and is there as well. He faces off against Nadja, who keeps dozing up on the power drug and keeps blasting lasers at him. Moreau is able to counter the blast by using his powers to surround him with metallic shields. Meanwhile, Sherman and the cops arrive at the scene. They arrest all of Nadja's men after the team hands them over. Moreau is able to knock down Nadja at first, but then he completely overdoses on the drugs and is about to explode in the hopes of killing Lily. Moreau decides to sacrifice himself by jumping in at the right time and using his powers to lift him and Nadja up into the sky. He manages to survive the explosion and is then taken away by the team before the reporters can learn about his secret. However, Sherman is upset that the truth was hidden from him, so he fires Moreau and reassigns Schultzman to be the new liaison officer. Schultzman meets Moreau later at Henry's place, where everyone is relaxing and having a good time after successfully completing their mission. She gives him a new mask to mark his new identity, and the movie ends with them kissing, thus establishing their new relationship. And there it is, guys, that was How I Became a Superhero, recapped by yours truly. French movies have always been interesting to watch, so let me know in the comments if you want me to check out something similar. Like, share, and subscribe if you're new around here and want more recaps. See ya!